Okay, I think we're live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of April. Welcome, everyone. Okay, everyone's here. Good. Okay, so, Ramadan started last week. And so, wishing all of our Muslim friends and viewers, selamat berbuka puasa tonight. Hope you're enjoying your meals. Okay, so today is actually Earth Day, April 22nd. April 22nd is Earth Day, and I thought I'd mention it. So, because today is April the 22nd, Thursday, the 22nd of April, and it is Earth Day, and so I wanted to just bring some awareness to that. I got some notes. So it's basically an annual event that's celebrated by around the world by millions. And this year's theme is Restore the Earth. For those of you who don't know, Earth Day was started in 1970. It is basically to bring awareness and to shine a light on the extenuating circumstances that's actually plaguing the Earth, right? I think that there's a lot of us living on this planet, and there are I guess you hear a lot about global warming and all that. Actually, that's a good topic for another episode. But so I guess it is all of our responsibility to protect the Earth, right, and to protect it for the generations to come. So just wanted to bring awareness to that. Happy Earth Day. It is in everybody's interest, all of our viewers and everyone else, to make a difference for this generation, for the next, and for the many more to come. So everyone can play their part, right? Use less plastic bags. Good evening, KP. And okay. So welcome. Those of you who are just joining us, good evening to you all. Okay, doing a mic test. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. If you can, maybe just put a thumbs up. Hi, Ken. Welcome. Good evening to you. Okay, so those of you who are just joining us, look, please like, share, subscribe. Feel free to tag your friends, your family members who may be interested in this topic of Bitcoin. They may even not know that they should be interested in this topic, right? So tag them anyway. Good evening, Sweeping, and good evening, Nicholas. Good evening, Maya. Okay, thank you all. Alexis, good evening to you. All right. So, okay, yeah. So, look, if you're just tuning in, you're just joining us, if whether it's on YouTube or on Twitch or on Facebook, feel free to like. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click on the bell icon, choose all, so that you can be notified each time, right? Obviously, on Facebook, follow us. If you're on Twitch, follow us. Good evening, Victor. Good evening, Alex. Okay, welcome. Hi, Sandra. Good evening. All right. So, okay. So like I said, feel free to tag your friends, while we're going live here, and, remind them, get them to come on while we talk about an exciting topic tonight. So, okay, let's see. Any other announcements? Oh, yeah. Okay. As usual, as I'm giving the presentation, feel free to just type in your questions, and as usual, I will either get to them immediately, or when I finish a sentence, or I'll answer it at the end, right? So don't be shy. Leave a message, leave a comment, leave questions. So tonight, we're going to be talking about one of my usual favorite subjects, which is Bitcoin. Good evening, Kerwin. And tonight, so we'll be talking about Bitcoin. Okay, now some announcements to make. We are having our crypto classes, right? We haven't had them for a while. We did them back in 2017, 18, I think 19 as well. Last year was a total write-off because everybody was locked down, so we didn't hold any crypto classes. We are, however, having them next month, May 7th to 9th. So if you are interested, do go to crypto.equitiestracker.com. You should see it scrolling at the bottom now. You will also see that there's a promo code between now and Saturday night midnight, right? So between now and Saturday night, do feel free to take us up on that offer and get yourself some discounts. Look, we appreciate that. If you're thinking about investing some money into buying whether Bitcoin or any of the other crypto assets, I highly recommend that you first invest in yourself, right? You figure out, you should find out what it is that you are buying, what it is that you are purchasing it, so that whenever the market fluctuates like it did over the weekend, where it dropped, maybe it hit $65,000, and then it dropped to about 52 maybe. It's gone back up since, but it will serve you well to not get jittery when the market corrects like that, right? So it is quite normal, and the crypto assets are quite volatile. And so if anything, the best protection is to first educate yourself. So do join us if you're interested in attending class. We go pretty deep. We cover, we want you to know what it is that you're buying into, right? If you decide to buy Bitcoin. And I'm not asking you to go buy Bitcoin. I'm just saying if you're planning on it, then I highly recommend that you educate yourself first. Okay, so do come. Come and support us. Support this channel, right? Support Future Proof. Okay, as we try to bring you good content every Thursday on Future Proof. Okay, let's see. Any other announcements? No. Okay. Okay, recap of last week. Last week we talked about extended reality, what life could be like and what was actually happening in this space. It's funny and it's interesting because last night while I was sleeping, or was it the night before anyway, it was the night before. Apple has announced some new products, right? You've got the new iMac, you have the new iPad Pros, you've got a few other things, but the biggest one is the new iPad Pros. They have actually put in the M1 chip in there. Now the M1 chip also powers their laptops. It actually powers everything, right? It powers from your MacBook Air to the MacBook Pro to the Mac Mini, and now the iMac, and now also in the form factor of a tablet, it has the same power, which brings us to that next level of how powerful those chips are. So imagine for extended reality. Okay, so hey, Leongkin Singh and Victor Lim, thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Okay, without further ado, let us get started. I'm gonna go share my screen now. Yeah. Oh, also, by the way, because of the our SOPs, we do have limited seats for the class. So if you are if you're interested, best to sort of it's on a first come first serve basis. So hopefully that those of you who are interested, you all get your seats, because we're only allowed a limited number based on the area that we're in. Alrighty, I am going to share these slides. Okay, let me know if you see my screen. Okay, I think it's come up. Alrighty. Okay, now what are we going to talk about today? Bitcoin, the next level. What level? All right. Now, before I start, let me just do this. I am not a financial advisor. Therefore, anything that we're going to talk about tonight is not financial advice. This is just me having done my research and sharing that research with you, the audience. And thank you for turning up tonight. To appreciate it. So it is just sharing of information. It's a bit of entertainment. It's a bit of, I suppose, edutainment, right? So I'm here to educate you. So yes, so it is not financial advice. Do not go out and buy Bitcoin or make any financial decisions without first checking in with a professional financial advisor. Okay, someone who is licensed. All right. Without further ado. Oh, by the way, we go to Equities Tracker. We do have sign up for a free trial. Check us out. We run a platform that helps you. It's free anyway for 2 weeks, so do check us out. And look, at Equities Tracker, what we do whenever we try to whenever we invest in something, we go really deep, right? And that's sort of in our DNA. That's part of our approach. We go very deep. We are very data driven when it comes to investments. So do check us out. Sign up for a 2-week trial and see how you go, right? Okay, so let's start. So since 2013, right, miners have invested almost $18 billion into securing the Bitcoin network. Now, what does that mean? That means, when they first started, they Bitcoin mining is all about securing the network. So I'm sure you've heard about it. Come to class and you'll learn how it does it, why it does it, and why it's such a brilliant invention by Satoshi Nakamoto. So they've spent since 2013 to now almost $18 billion to secure the Bitcoin network, right? And so these miners have effectively bet right into the future, thinking that look, this is a worthwhile bet, and we're gonna recoup our investments, right? Now, so they they've essentially taken the most risk. Thank you, Ken. Now, so they've actually taken the most risk to sustain this network, right? And you can see in this graph that it start. So in the early days, you could mine Bitcoin with your laptop, right? If you had a PC, it'll be even better. But then over time, right, ASICs were invented. So these are application-specific integrated circuits, meaning these are super fast and powerful machinery or computers that does only one thing and one thing only, and they do it really fast. And so you could see this graph actually shows the amount of investments that have gone into, or cumulative investments that miners have invested into hardware to secure the Bitcoin mining network. Now, see, so they've spent around 18 billion, and they've gotten back. They've received around 19 billion in mining fees and block rewards. So as a miner, there obviously needs to be an incentive for you to do it, right? I mean, you're expanding capital, you're putting money into a business, so you gotta obviously get some money back. Now, look, whilst $19 billion sounds like it's a lot of money, but it's only $1 billion, right? And since 2013 to now, so you start to think, oh well, hang on, maybe it's not worth so much. Like, why would they? It's not that great a margin, so why would they be doing this? Now, mind you, this calculation, there's a note at the bottom here. This calculation was actually published in November 2020, where Bitcoin's price was $18,000. Today, it's probably at 50 something, 52, 53, maybe 54. Last week it was 64, 65, right? And so so this is 3 times less than what it is today, right? So you might need to do a times 3, so it's 60 grand instead. Sorry, 60 billion, right? Expanded 18 billion as 16 billion. So it makes a difference, right? Now that's obviously if the miner was able to hang on and hold on to their Bitcoin, right? Because obviously when you in such an investment, you have to pay to buy the machines, you have to pay to for rental, you have to pay for cooling if you have cooling, you have to pay for security, and maintenance and internet and all that, right? So obviously it's an investment on the miner's part. So whatever they produce, they may have to sell it for ringgit or whatever fiat currency, and then use that to pay for the electricity, the maintenance cost of running the farm. So whatever they could keep, they should keep, right? And that's what they're doing. And what's interesting is that the latest trend, I would say, in the last 6 months or so, possibly even the last 12 months, a lot of these miners are actually getting listed. They are becoming publicly listed companies on the NASDAQ. I think also on the a few stock exchanges, and on the Canadian Stock Exchange as well. So it's interesting, right? So and once they're listed, what's interesting is you look at their cost model. Is instead of expanding, I mean, they could expand their own cash, but it would be cheaper to borrow fiat currency cash to expand on their operations whilst earning Bitcoin, because it would have been cheaper to hang on to, well, I guess the borrowing cost would be cheaper compared to hanging on to a bit rather than selling their Bitcoin. And obviously it's cheap because of QE, right? So right now central banks around the world are flooding their financial systems with a lot of extra money, right? And so what happens then is, two things. It causes inflation in everything, including asset prices, and it devalues the currency. So it's almost like a race to the bottom on who can devalue their currency faster. So that's interesting. Okay, so we move on now. So at the current Bitcoin price, the miners can generate around $5 billion from transaction fees, right, in 2025. So that is shown here. So so that's like 15, well, sorry, we're looking at 25 billion, 25 by the year 2025. So that's the estimated revenue, right? Thank you for your support, Logan. Okay, so if you look at so this was taken from Cypher Mining. They are a company that is also looking to get listed through a SPAC, right? So as I said, so that there's a lot of Bitcoin mining companies that are now becoming publicly listed companies, right? So that's interesting. So okay, so next, just to show that there's two things, right? Now, as a miner, you earn money through mining rewards, right? And then you also earn money through transaction fees. So there are actually two sources of revenue if you are a Bitcoin miner, right? From transaction fees and also from the mining rewards. So that's interesting. Okay, so it is not yet a popular payments network yet, right? But it is growing as a store of value, right? So Bitcoin is definitely growing as a store of value. As you can see in this graph, it is now over $1 trillion in market cap. So Bitcoin, in March 2020, I think Bitcoin's market cap was probably at around 200 billion. So that's just last year, right? Last March, and now it's well over. It's well over $1 trillion, right? Which is still it's substantial. It's substantial as an asset class. So here are just some of the companies that and these are these are publicly listed companies, so they're traded on their respective stock exchanges. companies like Tesla, Square, MicroStrategy, Meitu, Acre. Now, these Tesla is an S&P 500, Nasdaq, right? So these three companies are listed on Nasdaq. Meitu is listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and Acre is listed on, I think, the Norwegian Stock Exchange. They're an engineering company, and they've recently all acquired Bitcoin as part of their treasury asset. So part of their balance sheet strategy is if they had excess cash that was sitting in their bank balance, they converted some, if not, well, in MicroStrategy's case, it was all, and then some more. They converted that into Bitcoin. So they are now holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet instead of cash. Now, why? Well, if you do a quick Google of Michael Saylor, and if you do a quick Google of Michael Saylor, he is the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy. He has not only converted all its cash balance into Bitcoin. So I think in total they own about, or MicroStrategy as a company owns at least over 90,000 Bitcoins that he's been purchasing. He went on and issued debt to get more cash to continue to buy and acquire Bitcoin. So it's a very interesting strategy, right? Very interesting strategy. John Yap, I will do my best to invite Michael Saylor to come and speak on Future Proof. No promises. He's a busy man. He's very busy acquiring Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, right? So it is quite common, and these companies are doing it. And I think the biggest sort of nod of approval was when Tesla, right? Elon Musk, right? He's a very famous guy. Was when Elon Musk says, I guess when Tesla submitted and the announcement that they bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. It's interesting because if you look at what they bought, the price, I think the price that they bought it at, to where it is today, they're already in the money, and the profit is equivalent, if not more, than last year's net profit. So fantastic returns. All right. So there are so in this chart, what you'll see is that so this line up here, this is the SPDR Gold Trust, right? So it's an ETF. You can see that it's coming down, right? And this is GBTC. GBTC is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So effectively, you can purchase a share, and each share represents so much Bitcoin per share. And you can see that that's obviously on a growth trajectory, whilst gold, on the other hand, is sort of coming down, right? And you'll see that at this point, it's going to intersect, and then if it continues on, if they both continue on their current trajectories, the GBTC is going to overtake. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that people are selling off their gold to buy Bitcoin? Are they replacing old gold or physical gold with digital gold? Possibly, right? That's what the graph suggests. So that's possible. And it's interesting because you hear a lot more of the traditional fund managers coming out now to say that, hey, we're going to allocate X% into our portfolio, and their portfolios are in the billions, right? They're huge. And the thing is, it's not just the high-tech guys who are coming out. These are traditional institutions that come out. Guys like Paul Tudor Jones, he allocated 2% of the portfolios that they're managing into Bitcoin. You have very old insurance companies like Mass Mutual who bought $100 million worth of Bitcoin. And Mass Mutual, for those of you in Malaysia, we don't know who Mass Mutual is, but they're as old as Prudential. They're about 169 years old. Yeah. Gerald's got a question. What's the best strategy to hodl? Okay, let's see. What's the best strategy to hodl? DCA works. those of you who don't know what hodl means, this was basically just means to hold on to dear life. It's an internet meme, and basically it was in a forum or a Reddit sometime back in the earlier days, and this guy was drunk and he was just typing it, and it has become an internet meme since, right? So best strategy to hodl. Gold is old, Bitcoin is moon. Look, Gerald, I would say DCA definitely works, because if you DCA stands for dollar cost averaging, because if you look at the trajectory of Bitcoin's price, if you had DC8 in, right, which means you buy the same amount every month, yeah, you know, I think you'll be okay, right? You won't be too bad. Yeah, so where was I? Okay. Now, next slide. Okay, this one is WeWork, right? This is quite new. They've recently announced that they will accept BTC payments, right? So they will accept Bitcoin as payment. Elon Musk also, Tesla also, you can buy a Tesla car with Bitcoin. Yes, and they're not going to convert that into USD or fiat currencies. They will keep that as Bitcoin. So WeWork has recently announced that they will accept Bitcoin payments, and they will also hold Bitcoin in the balance sheet. So they're also not going to convert it, and they will also pay the landlords in crypto or in Bitcoin if the landlord wants it. So this is interesting, right? It's very interesting. Now, obviously, those of you who don't know who WeWork is, they're one of the biggest office sharing providers, right? So their global customers include the likes of Amazon, you have Salesforce, you got GE, Netflix, Microsoft, Tesla, Johnson & Johnson, right? So some of the largest names, including IBM, Merck, Airbnb, and so they and you can see that they're located all over the world, right? So this is interesting, right? WeWork is now that other one that has come out and said that they will accept Bitcoin as payment. Now, obviously, this follows Tesla's recent decision to start accepting Bitcoin. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing more and more companies come out and announce that they will start accepting Bitcoin for payment, right? That would be cool. Obviously, in Malaysia, Bank Negara does not condone it, nor do they they do not condone Bitcoin as legal tender, right? But I guess in the States, they have announced it and they accept it. So that's interesting. Okay, so you can see in this graph that the merchant crypto payment has hit $1 billion in Q1 of 2021, from 640 million in Q1 of last year, right, according to Bloomberg data. So you can see a rise in acceptance of Bitcoin as payment, as a transfer of value. So more and more merchants are beginning to accept it. It's a cool trend. Now, but if you compare that to global payments, right, there's still a tiny, literally a tiny dot, right? So this is Visa, right, where there's 76 billion transactions a year, and then you see this. If you're watching this on your phone, you probably can't see, but there's like a little dot here, right, and that's Bitcoin payments, right? It is they did 82 million transactions per year. Right, so that's not a lot. That's around 226,021 transactions a day. So Visa clears 926 times more transactions than Bitcoin does every year. Right, so obviously Visa is huge compared to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin payments in comparison is still rather small. So why hasn't Bitcoin taken off as a payments system? Well, the short answer is super slow speeds. Now, this was done by Citibank, in their April issue, where they said, so I'll just read it out. This was the quote, right, from their report. It says the main problem is the volume of transactions the Bitcoin network can handle. The volume of transactions that the Bitcoin network can handle. Analysis from early in 2020 shows Bitcoin executed on average only 5 transactions per second, which is 4,800 times slower than the Visa network that handles 24,000 transactions per second. So that is, I suppose, Bitcoin's weakness as a payments platform, right? It's too slow compared to the likes of Visa. But obviously, it's slow for a reason, right? It's a distributed system, a decentralized system, as compared to Visa's very centralized system. Leong Kinsing says Citi should consider using XRP. Okay, now, so why hasn't okay, so now here's the other thing, right? High transaction fees for smaller transactions. So that's because now Bitcoin's transaction fees are variable, right? So it's not fixed because it is dependent on the traffic on the Bitcoin network. So think of this like, when you go, I don't know, to Casas Highway or you go through the NKVE and you have to go through toll, right? So depending on the time that you use the toll, it charges you differently, right? So if the toll is really congested, then it'll charge you more. If there's nobody on the highway, then it's really cheap. So because in the last 12 months, the Bitcoin transactions have picked up, volume has picked up, usage of the network has picked up, which means people have been sending each other Bitcoin or sending Bitcoin into exchanges, transferring it out, and just transferring it all over the place. The price goes up more and more. And so if you're sending a small amount, say you wanted to send 5 ringgit, right, it might cost you $10 to send 5 ringgit. So then it becomes not very economical, right? Because it's going to cost you more money than it is to cost you to send the amount. So if you look, okay. So, however, though, if you were transferring much larger amounts, right, it may be cheaper, right? So someone transferred $1 billion in Bitcoin for less than $5, right? Now this obviously I'm referring to this in US dollars. So $5. So that's cheap, right? Because if you were to go through the SWIFT system, it'll be a percentage of the amount that you're sending. But interestingly, on Bitcoin, whenever you send, it is based on the size of the amount, not the value of the amount, but the size. All right, so that's interesting. Okay, here is a screenshot of a Western Union website, right, where it says to send 10,000 US dollars to the Filipino peso, right, it would cost $0 for transfer fees. And you're like, well, that's not too bad. That's pretty good. However, what you will see is that $1 where they get you, I suppose, or that's part of their business model, is the exchange rate. So $1 gets you 47.63 pesos, whereas if we use the XE for it, you'll see that it's the 10,000 becomes so one USD equals to 67 pesos, right? And they don't charge you a transfer fee, and therefore the total the receiver gets is 467,734 pesos. But when you convert that to US dollars, right, and this is using XE, effectively the transaction cost about 150 US dollars, right? So it's still pretty expensive for sending fees using traditional means, right? Like Western Union. Okay, we move on to talk about so this guy here, right? This in the picture, his name is Charles Wang. He was the founder of Computer Associates. Computer Associates, you'll be interested. Well, back in the day, we were a big user of their technology. We used this tool called Clipper. For those of you who are in programming, you would and from the 80s, you'd probably know this. So anyway, so who are Computer Associates? They were founded by Charles Wang in 1976, and they basically developed enterprise software. It was the second software company to hit $1 billion in revenue after Microsoft. So they were large. They were pretty large. But today, I guess they're still around, but they they're not as large as they were back then. So this is what. So Charles actually wrote this book, right? This Techno Vision. That was Charles' book, right? The Executive Survival Guide to Understanding and Managing Information Technology. So that was published by McGraw-Hill, right? One of the world's top publishers, with an introduction by Peter Drucker. So Peter Drucker is a very famous management guru. And yeah, I remember having to read his books when I was studying. So what did he say? So this was a quote from Charles in 1997. Now remember, the internet, I think, was released to the world in 1992 or 93. I remember it coming to Malaysia in 94, and that was when I first discovered and got onto the internet, and my mind was blown, and life has never been the same ever since. So he says there were only a few $100 million done in transactions in the internet last year. If it is taking over, that is a pretty small number. Put newspapers and magazines out of business, it will never happen. People say the internet will replace stores. It will never happen. Well, if you think about it, it probably hasn't replaced stores. I guess, especially in Asia, right, where people like to go shopping, right? People like to, like in Malaysia, it's really hot. You want to go into a shopping center, right? So people like that. However, the amount of commerce that is being done online, I guess we all know where we are today, right? And so this is from the New York Times, just a headline that says, "Skeptics site overload of useless information. Internet arrives at crossroads." Right? So back then, they didn't believe that, that like it's, what, you're going to sell stuff over the internet and it's going to take over stores? No way, right? Not possible. Now let's compare the internet of 1997 to the internet of 2021, where we are today, right? Now it was very difficult for a lot of people, right, including the experts, I guess, to gauge the enormous potential of something with such disruptive potential. Now, we called that Web 1.0, and you'd see like these are the kind of technologies back then, and then look, it's gotten so complex over time, right? Like the difference that you actually see here is you see a lot more apps that have come about. You've got a lot of social media apps. You have Airbnb, you have AWS, you have YouTube, right? You have Instagram. So it's a lot more different back then to now. So Bitcoin is now entering its 2.0 moment. This actually started happening. This came about in 2017. Basically, the community within Bitcoin broke off into two camps. They couldn't agree on how to scale Bitcoin. So when I say scale, that means it was to make Bitcoin faster, make it work better, right? Essentially, what happened is that these two camps decided to agree to disagree. So they broke off, right? So they implemented a change onto the Bitcoin code base, which allowed for a few things, right? One of them is known as segregated witness. which is a way of doing things. For short, they called it SegWit. And then there is also so that broke off into two camps, right? Because one camp wanted to keep the block size small, right? So around 2 point something megabytes per block size. And then the other camp decided that they wanted to just continue increasing the block size as more and more transactions happen. So anyway, they broke off. So then next what came was that this thing called the Lightning Network. So the Lightning Network was effectively a what you call like a layered solution on top of the Bitcoin network. So as you can see here, this is this is how you could accept payment, right? This is called BTC Pay, right? So you can start accepting Bitcoin payments with zero fees and no third party, right? BTC Server is a self-hosted open source cryptocurrency payment processor, and it's secure, private, censorship resistant, and free. What's interesting is that you actually can host this yourself, right? You don't need to find a payment provider. You can, I guess, if you could just download this open source code. If you had the know-how, you could just implement this yourself, right? And what's cool, I suppose, is that it gives the merchant, I guess, the flexibility of accepting payment, right? To process payment as they sell their services or wares or whatever on the internet, right? Because in order to set up a payment gateway, usually you have to go through a third party. I mean, these days it's made a lot easier. There are guys like Stripe, which make it really easy to do. But then the other ones may not be as easy to use. So anyway, BTC Pay is fully open source, and the merchants do not need to provide their personal information to BTC Pay. It describes itself as code, not a company. It is run by a foundation and counts Square Crypto as one of its earliest backers. Even Tesla has contributed to BTC Pay's development. So what this allows is it actually allows it uses the Lightning Network, which sits on top, right, of the Bitcoin network, and it allows for very fast and cheap payments. Now, remember, before when I mentioned if you were to send 5 ringgit, it was going to cost you like $10 to send 5 ringgit. That would not be a feasible transaction, right? It wouldn't be very cost effective. But if it costs you a few cents to send, right, 5 ringgit or less than a cent, then that would be acceptable, and it'll be fast, right? Because Bitcoin, to transfer it, because of the security governing it, it takes, well, each block is 10 minutes, and some applications built in where it requires 6 block confirmations before you can spend your Bitcoin. It would take almost an hour for you to be able to spend or receive that Bitcoin and spend it. Whereas on the Lightning Network, it would be instant, or close to instant, actually. And it can be anywhere around the world for whatever amount. Usually smaller amounts, because larger amounts, you can use the Bitcoin network because you want it to be safe and secure. Okay. Now, this one is actually a video, which I'm going to play. Do let me know if you cannot hear the sound. All right, because this is what BTC Pay is, or what the payment gateway is.
Let's say you're a business owner with a point-of-sale system or online store, developer looking to integrate Bitcoin payments, or a charity seeking donations. Payment processors require your customers' personal information while charging you fees and selling customer data. With BTC Pay, you are your own payment processor. At checkout, customers will see an invoice for on-chain or a Lightning payment. Money goes directly into your wallet. No fees, no intermediaries, while data stays private. Deploy a point-of-sale app, crowdfund your passion project, and easily embed a tipping button into your website. BTC Pay is the open source software solution for peer-to-peer payments.
Okay, and that's it. All right. So this was taken from the BTC Pay server. So that's so effectively anyone and everyone around the world can set up their own payment gateway using BTC Pay. It's open source software, and you just integrate it into your website, right? Okay. Okay. So this one's interesting. So Visa, on the other hand, they're backing this company called Strike Global. It's basically a Bitcoin payments app for global remittances. Strike. Now this is not Stripe. This is Strike, right? So Strike does something very interesting. It allows people to transfer money in different currencies to different countries for free. Free. That's interesting. And what's interesting is that they use Bitcoin as a layer of transport, right? So according to Strike, this whole process takes less than 1 second. That's pretty cool, right? So how it works is it'll first convert the USD to Bitcoin, and it does that by trading, right? It does all this in the background, right? Does it by trading, then sends Bitcoin via the Lightning Network to a foreign country. And then when it gets there, it converts the Bitcoin to another currency, let's say euro or whatever, also by selling it and getting euro, right? And then it deposits the euros in the Strike account of the friend that you sent money to. And so that's how it works. Okay, I've got a few comments and questions. I'm just going to flash them on, and I'll try to answer it. Darren wants to know if other cryptos have similar Lightning Network. Yes, the other one is actually Litecoin. Litecoin can also use the Lightning, their own Lightning network. Okay. Now Barry has a comment or a question. Maybe I don't know much of the security of such platform, but how to know or be assured it is secure? Who is watching who? Barry, that's a really good question. Come for class. Crypto.equitiestracker.com. We're having a class May 7th to 9. We actually we dive pretty deep. We help you understand just how secure the Bitcoin network is. And when you get that, once you understand it deeply enough, that's when you don't get bothered by these fluctuations. So thank you for the question. That's a very good question. Xiaoming wants to know if it's the same like Signet. I am not familiar with this one. Yeah, unfortunately. But I do know that when it comes to the network, there's so much power that is securing the Bitcoin network that you need. I think we calculated for 51% attack on the Bitcoin network, you'll need roughly 24,500 bakun dams. So just calculate how much that will cost to attack the Bitcoin network. That means you need enough money you need enough power, as much power as 24,000 plus 24,500 bakun dams, right? Yeah, so think about that. And by the time if you did have that much resources to hack the Bitcoin network, you're probably better off channeling that power to mining Bitcoin, because you're gonna be incentivized. You're gonna be paid with newly minted Bitcoins, and you're gonna be paid for transaction fees for securing the Bitcoin network. So you might as well do that. Okay, so moving on. Okay. So, okay, Xiaoming says it's the that's Silvergate. Look, obviously, this is different because this is a centralized approach, right? Whereas Bitcoin is a decentralized approach where it is not owned by a single company or whatever. It is decentralized, right? So it's owned by nobody and owned by everybody. Yeah. Okay. So next. Square Crypto is focusing on Lightning. Now, Square is a publicly listed company on Nasdaq, and the founder and CEO is Jack Dorsey. He is also the CEO of Twitter, which is also listed on Nasdaq. So, Square appears to be prioritizing Lightning development, right? Both internally as well as via its crypto grants, because Square actually gives out a lot of grants, a lot of money to support various projects, and so Square is, I guess, placing its bets on the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, right? And so if you see this, right, so Square Crypto is focusing on Lightning. So Jack actually tweeted about it January last year, right? Square Crypto, we've got the team, we've got the mission, we've got something or mistweet. So basically introducing the Lightning Development Kit, the LDK, right? So that's the software for developers to then download and start utilizing the Lightning Network. So think of this as programmable money, right? Imagine if you can program money to do certain things based on certain conditions. That's how cool it is. So you automate the process of money. That's pretty cool, right? Okay, so basically, I'll just read this quickly. So Square was among the earliest financial companies to get involved with Bitcoin. It launched Bitcoin trading on the Cash app in January 2018, right? So one of the earliest publicly listed companies to support it and to do it. And in 2019, the company formed Square Crypto, an independent team solely focused on contributing to the Bitcoin open source work. So yeah. So basically, Lightning reduces the Bitcoin transaction times and fees. Think of this as on the highway, you've got a flyover, right? It just gets you there faster, right? You've got a highway. So effectively, that's what the Lightning Network is. It is built on top of the Bitcoin network, but it allows you to sort of use that flyover. It's just faster to do things. It's cheaper to do things. So actually, I'll go a little bit deeper, right? So I'll read this out to you. So the Lightning Network is a new protocol layer. Now it's built on top of Bitcoin, and then it achieves, right, faster than Visa transaction throughput, right, whilst retaining its peer-to-peer nature of the Bitcoin protocol. Gerald's got a question. I'm just going to flash on the screen. So Lightning Network for Bitcoin, is it still in development? Yes. In fact, most of these projects are in development, but it is also in production, as in it's already being used. So if if I needed to send you, Gerald, like 20 cents, you just have to send me your address and I can send it to you via the Lightning Network, and you'll get it pretty instantly. Okay, so now this is achieved by reducing the number of transactions that need to be forever stored on the blockchain. Instead, the funds are held in the smart contract payment channels, and transactions are exchanged outside of the blockchain between transacting users. So think of it this way, right? You have your highway on the ground level, then you got the flyovers, right? But these flyovers are somehow connected to each other, so you can forever stay on top of the flyover if you want to, but you can always come back down to the ground level as and when you want to, right? That's effectively what it is. So the final state of the payment channel balance can be broadcast to the, okay, so as I said, right, you got roads and a highway at the ground level, and you have these flyovers, and when you on ramp onto these flyovers, you can stay up there as long as you want, right? Because it's faster, right? Faster to get around. But when you want to exit, you can always come back down to the ground floor. That's effectively what it is and how you can do it. So Jack Dorsey says, we want to go back to that original idea of having people purchase a coffee with it. Our focus is on how we can get this to an everyday currency. So Jack Dorsey, the CEO of both Twitter and of Square, is a huge Bitcoin advocate, right? He really supports Bitcoin. He loves Bitcoin, and he wants to. So the original white paper that was published by Satoshi Nakamoto calls it a peer-to-peer cash payment system, right? So it's a peer-to-peer payment system. So he wants to see that happen, and obviously he wants to see that. I guess he wants to support it, so it's going to happen through the Lightning Network. And as I mentioned earlier, because of how sort of slow it is, in the sense that it takes up to potentially an hour for you to spend that Bitcoin or to receive it fully, this layered approach, the Lightning Network, actually makes it instant payment and instant. You receive it instantly and you can spend that instantly, right? Okay. So Barry says, here's a scenario. A few friends decided to set up and establish a mining biz platform, possible in Malaysia. Is it a sustainable business? Where are these establishments? Where will they be in moving forward? Is it the same concept like gold mining companies, since we have a crypto exchange already? So effective. Look, again, Barry, fantastic questions. You really should come for class. I do answer a lot of these questions, and they go pretty deep, right? Look, yes, and yes, I guess there are, and you can establish mining. You could even purchase some of these ASIC miners and mine them yourself at home. But mind you, it's really noisy. And I've even seen some really cool ASIC miners that have been submerged, right, in oil to reduce the noise pollution and to mine, right? So obviously you don't have to do it extremely large scale. You can even do it with one or two miners, and then you plug that in, and yeah. So yes, it can be done. Is it a concept like gold mining companies? No, not really. It's not. I guess the word mining could be a misnomer. However, what it does do is that it mints new Bitcoin. It introduces that into the Bitcoin system, right? We have. Hey, Barry, I hope to see you at class because these are the questions that we talk about, right? These are the things that we help you understand, so that when you get into it, you know exactly what you're doing. So thank you for the question. Good question. Okay. Okay, I've got a few more questions. Let me put this. So we've got Gerald says, how can the transaction be free when the miners are earning transaction fees? So now, again, remember I talked about that layered approach, Gerald. So you have your ground level, right? Your ground level roads, right, and highway, and then you've got the on ramp of the flyover. So once you're on this flyover, that is where it's really cheap, and it's technically not free, but it's very low fees, right? So it's not free, but it's low fees. And basically, the transaction fees is, if you're going to use the ground one, that's where the transaction fees occur. And if you want cheaper transaction fees, go you use the Lightning Network. Okay. Now let's see. Alex shared an interesting link. Police raid Bitcoin mining premises electricity theft. Yeah. So if you're gonna do Bitcoin mining, obviously, it'll cost you. So each ASIC miner will probably consume the power of a 1.5 horse air conditioner. So if you have 50 of those lined up and you're running it 24/7, you'll be consuming quite a lot of power. So okay, Darren's got another question as a follow-up. Okay, so what's the pros and cons? Darren, I encourage you to come to class too. I hope to see you there. But okay, let me try to answer that. So the pros are that the Lightning Network is faster, and the like it's near instant. And then if you were to use the ground level, right, which is the Bitcoin blockchain itself, then it would be more secure. So if you're going to pay for coffee, use the Lightning Network, right? And it's in small amounts. If you're going to be transferring $1 million, to your son or your friend or whatever for a large transaction, use the ground level because it is more secure. Hope that sort of answers your question. Again, come to class. These are very typical questions, and we cover them very in depth. So thank you for that question. Let's see. We have some okay. Here's another. So Tan Yong Chai says, is DeFi, which offers X% interest rates in crypto, sound too good to be true? The interest rate usually way about bank FD rates. Okay, Tan Yong Chai, again, thank you for the question. Good question. Look, although we're not covering DeFi tonight, I'll just try to answer it very quickly because I do. I think a few episodes back I talked about DeFi, but anyway, it's all about supply and demand. So if there's a specific demand for a specific coin, then it will be the demand determines how much interest rates are paid. So again, these are all done via smart contracts, and if you think about it, it's purely market driven, right? It's purely market driven. So again, I hope to see you at class, Tan Yong Chai. Right? These are all very good questions. But yes, look, you can get some, like some crazy. But you know what? They don't say that it is a specific. It's not like you lock it in like actually you do lock it in like FD, but the rates fluctuate right throughout the day because it is based on the supply and demand in real time. So it's almost like your overnight bank rates, right? So so what they always quote it in is they quote it as an APY, right? So basically your yield, right? Your annual so it's like an estimated annual yield, right? So they always quote it in APY rather than this percent. So anyway, I hope I answered that question. Wow, Gerald, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about this, but look, if from what I've seen, I guess okay, Kathy Wood has addressed this in her ARK Invest monthly updates and in various interviews, right? She did say that look, okay, so those of you who do know, Tesla is part of the S&P 500, right? So meaning there are 500 companies inside this S&P 500. Tesla's one of the 500. Now that Tesla has actually, allocated, I think was it 8% of its cash to purchase Bitcoin. I'm thinking, right? Possibly, very possibly, maybe the other 499 CEOs may be having conversations with their CFOs to say, hey, Elon's already bought some Bitcoin. What are we going to do about our balance sheet? So I'm thinking those conversations may happen, and if it does, Kathy gave this. So via ARK Invest, they published it. They gave an estimate of, well, if all these corporates, say the rest of the 499 companies, decided to allocate X% of their cash balance into Bitcoin, then they projected the price of Bitcoin to go up to where, right? So yeah, All right, very good questions. I'm gonna keep moving. It's already 9 o'clock. I need to finish this presentation. Okay, so we're back here, but why, right? So if you think about it, Square, are they trying to become a super app, right? Is it a super app in the making? Because if you can see this, this is the Square. This is what they came out with. This is what they started out with, right? You can see this. This is the Lightning connector. So basically, you stick that to your iPhone, and then you can start accepting credit card payments, right? You swipe it, and then now you can tap it, right? The latest ones. But basically, that was how it started. So it was good for like point of sale, pop up stores, that kind of thing. So that was how they started, and then they moved from merchants and then into consumer finance. So they had the cash card, right? They had the app where they can pay each other and they can split payments and whatnot. You could even purchase stocks in there, right? And then you have Bitcoin, right? You can actually purchase, buy and sell Bitcoin. So they went into then consumer finance, and then they I think this was this year, right? They purchased a music streaming service company called Tidal, right? So now they're getting into entertainment. Now this is interesting, right? So you see the evolution of the Square app. And obviously, Jack Dorsey is CEO for both companies, right, including Twitter, and so social media as well. So now, is this just building blocks of a super app? Who knows, right? Possibly. And what happens when they combine it all into one super app? Okay, this one I'll just go through quickly, right? So you see that Square isn't exactly making money from its Bitcoin business. So what happens is Square will buy the crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, or Bitcoin Cash. I think those are the four that they offer. Then they sell it to its users for a profit. But the profit is the gross profit margin is 2.3%. And so the gross profit from the Bitcoin revenue is about 41 million. So it's not a lot, right? Because so the revenue is 1.8 billion, and this was for Q4 2020, and then the gross margin is about 41 million. So as you can see here, they don't make too much. So why are they still doing it, right? That's because Square is betting that Bitcoin will be the native currency of the internet. Now, those of you who are familiar with an economics giant, his name is Milton Friedman. God bless his soul, he has passed away, but he predicted Bitcoin before it was even invented, right? And he talked about this native currency of the internet, where A can transfer value to B without knowing who B is, right? But they have the ability to transfer it. And so I guess out of that, he also saw that the role of government would be reduced. So anyway, this is the quote from Jack. It says that the internet deserves a native currency. It will have a native currency. I don't know if it will be Bitcoin or not. I hope it will be. So that's what Jack says. So Square, under his leadership, is betting that Bitcoin will be the native currency of the internet. Now, so this basically shows you, right, that payments actually allow super apps to capture value from outside vendors, right? And while it continues to engage their users. So if you look at so basically payments allow the super apps to capture vendors outside of their ecosystem, by allowing a third-party company to create their own mini program. Tencent was able to rapidly scale up the use case of its app without directly venturing into other lines of business. So what it's saying is that you have an app, right? And once you have the payment there, you can have people like Starbucks, like what Grab has done, right? All these other restaurants, they're on Grab now. And whilst they're on Grab, it is because of the payment function. Grab will pay the merchants, right? And then for the users, it's convenient because they can do everything through the app. They can order food. They can order groceries. They can get someone to come pick something up and send it to someone. So as you can see, right, in the highlighted blue area, so you've got WeChat, Alipay, and Taobao. Now, they came about around the same time as their proprietary payment system, right? It was done around the same time. So basically, these companies had in their minds or as part of the plan to have payment as part of their strategy. So Southeast Asia's actually, this is a company that's listed on Nasdaq, right? See, uh, oh, sorry, no. Well, it is a company. That's the ticker for a company. But anyway, uh, in this case, it's Southeast Asia super app Grab, right? They're getting listed and valued at 40 billion through a spec. Now you can see they're it's obviously I guess you're all Grab users out there. It's obviously a super app, so they have deliveries, express, mobility, right? Ride sharing, financial services, right? You can insurance, invest, loans, remittance, and yeah. So that's effectively it, right? So these two Asian apps, Grab and WeChat, alongside others like Alipay and Gojek, have become so successful because they integrate multiple services within one payment. The infrastructure that is easy to use and frictionless. By integrating other merchants and third-party services, the super apps create an ecosystem that monopolizes the user's time, as they don't need to use a variety of apps, which lead to greater customer loyalty. So the co-founder of Zalora, Magnus Grimeland, that was a quote from him, right? So that's interesting. Alex just pointed out that Grab is bigger than Maybank. So there you go. Grab is, and everyone probably knows this, right? Grab is Malaysian. Well, they're registered in Singapore, but yeah, the founder's Malaysian, Anthony Tan, right? Okay. Okay, so sorry. So Bitcoin is already delivering super app-like benefits for Square. So Square is focused on onboarding new Bitcoin users, right? So they want to make that experience as seamless and as easy as possible. So the highlight, I suppose, here is so increased Bitcoin adoption. The highlight here is that 3 million Bitcoin active users in 2020 through the Cash app, and it says Bitcoin has helped increase gross profit per active customer and engagement in our broader ecosystem as Bitcoin activates use as Bitcoin activates use other products such as Cash Card and direct deposit more frequently compared to the average Cash app user. So basically, what it's saying is that because of Bitcoin, it is engaging and they're getting their users to use more of the Cash app than before. Okay, so this is Alipay. Effectively, they have financial services. It's a social platform. They have, a million merchant resources and lifestyle services. All right, so this is the super app, which is what possibly Cash app under the leadership of Jack Dorsey may be heading towards, right? And so Square's path has taken it from merchant services to consumer services and now into lifestyle entertainment. So very similar. By the way, so I think I've got a few more questions from Gerald and Alex. So I will get to them. Don't you worry. I'm just trying to get through these slides, right? Okay. So I think okay, these are probably the last two slides. So if you look at this, Square is the best performer amongst the top 5 payment companies. As you can see, Visa's gone up 2.5 times, MasterCard 3x, PayPal 7x, and Square has gone up 25x. Right, so that's they've been doing the best, right? But it does not enjoy the monopoly that Visa and MasterCard have, right, on the credit card systems. So this might explain Square's bet on Bitcoin, right, which is the internet currency of the future. And if this works, could Square be larger than Visa or MasterCard? Who knows, right? But that's interesting. So anyway, Bitcoin payments are coming, right? 4 out of the world's 5 largest listed payments companies are supporting crypto on their networks, right? And they have announced that they're doing so. So Bitcoin payments are definitely coming, and some of the world's brightest minds in payments infrastructure are working to make this happen, right? So you have Visa, PayPal, Square, MasterCard. And this was from an announcement made by MasterCard, right? So it says that they are preparing right now for the future of crypto and payments. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of these companies, with the exception of Square, all these payment processing companies, they all shunned Bitcoin in the early days. As recent as 2017, they called it by many names, which I will not repeat, but they did not paint Bitcoin in good light, right? Square, Jack Dorsey was the only one because he could see the future, right? And now, like, all these payment companies have done a 180, and now they're supporting crypto. I guess it took that long for them to wrap their heads around to figure it out. And I guess that's normal, right? It's new tech. It's a new way of thinking. It's different. So again, if you're trying to wrap your head around it, come for class. Crypto.equitytracker.com, right? We have limited seats because of the SOPs that we need to follow. But yeah, look, do sign up. Okay, I think that is the last slide. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna try to get to some answers, right? John's got an interesting one. Yeah. So speaking of Tesla, you can buy Tesla tokenized shares on Binance now. Yes, you can. You can also buy Coinbase shares on Binance. Well, tokenized shares on Binance, on the Binance platform. This is interesting because this again is a glimpse into the future, right? Because anything and everything can be tokenized, and it will be tokenized, and it's just a matter of time, right? The law is always playing catch up to innovation. So yes, thanks for pointing that out, John. Next one I think is Gerald. This Bitcoin bull run each time halving happens. Also, how do we check the BTC network at lowest activity for cheaper transaction fees? Okay, so Gerald, very good question. Thanks for that. Look, there's only been 3 halvings so far, right? Because Bitcoin is only 3 years old, and the halving happens approximately every 4 years. And in the last 3, well, we're still going through this one now, I guess. Every time there is a halving, right? A halving happens. It does seem, but again, if you're a statistician, you'll know that 3 rounds isn't conclusive, right? You'll know that it's not that there aren't enough data points to say that yes, this is so. But based on the 3, it does seem to have happened that way, right? In 2013, 2017, and now in 2021. So that's what we can observe. How do we check that the Bitcoin network is at its lowest? Okay, look, you know what? You can. There are a lot of blockchain explorer sites that do show you. But what's best is that you instead of using at ground level, use the Lightning Network. It'll be fast. Or better still, if you don't want to use the Lightning Network, you want something that is a little bit like still secure but faster, there's always Litecoin, because Litecoin is actually a copy of the Bitcoin code. And what they did was they changed a few things, right? They made it a little bit faster. They made the scripting, they made the hashing algorithm they changed. They didn't want to use the SHA-256. They decided to use Script, which is a different focus, and they made more of it, right? They made more, like there was going to be more than 21 million. There was going to have 4 times more, so it's going to be 4 times faster, 4 times more, and it was still going to be this, a proof of work sort of model to secure it as a security model. So you can always use like Litecoin instead of Bitcoin, for example, right? If the fees were too high. So I myself use I use a lot of Litecoin for transfers because I love the fees, right? The fees are cheap, it's affordable, and it's still at a layer 1 and it's secure. So I do that. I also do use the Lightning Network for faster and cheaper, like lower value payments. Okay, I hope that helps. And actually, I hope to see you in class, Gerald. Those are very good questions. Okay, next question. This is probably just a comment from Alex, right? From my experience, no, I think a bigger trigger of Bitcoin is adoption, not halving, because everyone knows the halving will happen. Okay, good comment. Let's see what else Alex says. After the first halving of Bitcoin, the price surged like crazy. Then after the second one, okay, so John Yap has a comment. I think Bitcoin will function more like a store of value more than a digital currency. There's plenty of purpose-built cryptos out there. It's good for payments. Paying with Bitcoin is like taking out your gold bar, chipping off a few grams, and paying for petrol. I think that's one of the potential. I guess I think that if you think of money as layers, I mean, just think of how paper money evolved, right? Obviously we started with shells and sticks and whatnot, and then we moved to precious metals like gold and silver and copper and all that. And then over time, they decided that, hey, if I left this gold bar with this trusted third party, aka banks now, and they issued these gold certificates, they were as good as gold, because with this certificate I can go and redeem my gold. And then eventually evolved to cash, right, which is fiat currency, which was backed by gold. And then after President Nixon in 1969 or 71, I can't remember, that's when he officially took the US dollar off the gold standard. Oh wait, yeah, yes, it was Nixon. So anyway, it's interesting to see this. So Bitcoin could be this gold bar, right? And then you might have a layer, and as I don't know, John, whether you're referring to perhaps Dogecoin, or maybe Litecoin, right? Or other coins. So yeah, so interesting comment. Let's see what lots of comments here. Alexander says, I think apps like Strike Global shows the potential that Bitcoin network can be used as a payment system, even without selling Bitcoin. Yes, yeah. So that layered thing, right? Lightning is a game changer, but people don't understand yet. This is interesting. Yep. Barry says, how about Pi? Anyone research on it? I personally have not looked into Pi, so I probably can't comment there. Sailang Dogecoin. Okay, so John says, John mined Pi a few months for fun. Doesn't look like project is legit since deleted the app. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, John. Yeah, okay. Look, guys, it's already 9:23. I thank you all so much for sticking around. Again, look, keep those questions coming. I'll try to answer them. I hope you have learned something new tonight, or if not, I hope you've at least heard. Now you know what the Lightning Network is. And again, look, we are having class from May 7th to 9th. We have limited seats, and so if you are interested, please head to crypto.equitiestracker.com. Again, scrolling at the bottom of your screen, there's a promo code where you get 300 ringgit off. So you get and that promo code lasts between now to midnight on Saturday night, which means Saturday 11:59 p.m. Right. So I hope to see some of you in class. Those are very good questions, and in fact we'll go through those things as well, so that when you come out of it, you get it, like you understand exactly what you've just bought into, and then you will know why it is being valued or why, like, these professional fund managers and these guys are all piling into Bitcoin right now, right? Okay, so thank you guys, thank you everyone. I hope you have a nice evening. Stay safe. Numbers are going up. Take care, and I hope to see you at the next Future Proof, and I hope to see you at class. All right, have a nice evening, guys. Bye-bye, and happy Earth Day.